was watching, once again, my beloved Man United, fresh off a great victory against Chelsea. We're back, baby.
Chelsea are a big club, Will. A lot of expensive players. They must be good.
Huge club. Poch is a great manager.
Is he?
Man United were flying it, unbelievable. You know, they were one on the pitch, and then followed up with a game against Bournemouth, and I thought, here we go, the run begins. And then they lost 3-0 at home. The first time they've ever lost at home to Bournemouth, and they have now officially lost. Man United have lost more home games since Alex Ferguson than they did under Alex Ferguson.
Since Alex Ferguson, under Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's awful. That's bad.
Yeah, he was there a lot longer than he hasn't been here.
So in 26 years, they lost less home games than they have in the preceding. How long has it been? 10 years?
11 years? 10 years?
That's bad, Will.
Yeah, they lost 34 under Alex Ferguson, which also, that's insane. But they lost 35 now under a whole slew of men.
Yeah, I blame Ten Hag for all those losses.
Yeah. I was thinking, watching the Bournemouth game, as the goals just kept flying in, I was like, I wasn't even too disappointed, because in my head I was like, this is like 9th, maybe 8th in top 10 most disappointing Man United moments of the last 10 years of my life. It's so low on the totem pole now. It's like, oh yeah, I could see us losing 3-0 to Bournemouth, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give too much thought to it, because you have Liverpool next, so that's going to be much worse.
Exactly, yeah.
Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
This is a total, shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense.
He was balls off yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all the time.
No problem.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast with Cathal and Will. You know, when at the start of the season, Will, after Liverpool's disastrous transfer window and failed signing after failed signing going to Chelsea, if you told them in December they'd all be a mere 2 points ahead of Aston Villa, they'd probably fear the worst.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're going down.
They'd say, oh, I knew it. Van Dijk is cooked. Get him out.
City must be 80 points ahead by now.
You'd be thinking that. You'd think we must be seventh or eighth here. There's no way Aston Villa are going to be up that high the table. I mean, Liverpool first, Aston Villa third.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, City.
And there's what, 3 points between them all?
4 points.
4
City
points.
are 4 points behind.
4 points behind Liverpool in top. It's very, very close up there.
Yeah.
Like usually at this time of the year, it's kind of gone to maybe 2 teams definitely, and a third team if the next few results go their way. You know, I think that was United last year. It was like if they
all they have to do is get 9 points in a row while everyone else drops 9.
Yeah, but this year, like if we say that we're not counting out City ever, because it'd be foolish to do so, as Pep said.
Pep did. We missed it last week. Pep did put his own guarantee on the board. He said, "As I see it, we're going to win the league."
Yeah, did we bet that as we did against Liverpool? And I guess just the manner of the defeat kind of a thing. We're playing well, and the results will come, and we have Kevin Orlis De Bruyne to come back. We'll be fine. And then you say Liverpool are top of the league, so I mean they can obviously win it. All they have to do is not lose any more games. It's easy as that. Arsenal, I think, again, they're there. They're winning games where they have good players. And then Aston Villa as well. Same thing. They're all there. They're all playing well. There's no flukes that anyone's there. So, I mean, if you could say that 4 teams could potentially win it, I mean, it'd be worth putting a 10 on any of those teams to win it. Yeah. Aston Villa, obviously, the biggest outliers because it's, very alien to them to be up there. But no more, okay, Arsenal had the run last year that they had that opportunity, but there's Premier League winners in the team, I suppose, in terms of Jesus and
Zinchenko,
the tier merchant Zinchenko. I saw that one too this week. Tier merchant, couldn't believe it. But still, I mean, they're all there on merit. They all have decent players, and it's just kind of like, it's a strange one to be in December and 4 teams potentially in the returns. And then maybe Tottenham fans will be saying, what about us? Are they back, Will?
I would say no. I think more Newcastle are in trouble rather than Tottenham are back.
Yeah. We'll be talking about that. We'll talk about the Tottenham-Newcastle game, the injury derby.
Yeah. Spite Cup playoff.
The Spite Cup playoff was also involved in that too. We will also be talking about Joey Barton and his crusade to save modern football.
I know what you're thinking. Joey Barton, why do I care what he has to say?
He is, in my eyes, Will, very rudely trying to make himself relevant again. I think it's very calculated what he's doing.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of him in years. I feel like the last thing I heard of him was when he was in management. Or no, he was playing for Marseille at that time. Briefly. Has he managed since? Has he managed football since? I don't know. He's always been an entirely unlikable person. Just the way he carries himself, the way he talks about stuff is just whatever. But I mean, recently, tell you what I saw him first at, Will. He's on a podcast clip.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, everyone has a podcast these days, Will, but he was talking about how his brother was in a scrap, quote unquote, and someone else in the scrap decided to kill a man in the scrap.
With an axe, I believe.
Pull out an axe. Out of nowhere, Will pull this axe out of his arse and, kill the man. As it turns out, do a little bit of research, like smallest bit of research. It was a premeditated racist attack that his brother and his, I think, cousin perpetrated. And he was kind of flippantly thrown away that he got handed 17 years because in the middle of a scrap, someone took it too far. And that's what he got my attention, because obviously everybody who knew the story or was from around the area where it happened knew about this. That was the last thing that it was. I was like, maybe that's the way that he rationalizes, or that's the way that he remembers it, or whatever the fuck you want to say. He was on a podcast, talking shite, and this got clipped. But right after that, then, after people were talking about him, saying, look at this guy, quote tweeting him, he comes out with women belong in the kitchen. And that's pretty much that's not even that much of an exaggeration.
No, that was what he said.
That's more or less like the sentiment, if not the words, exactly what he said.
As good, I would say, how long is it since Gray and Keys were booted off Sky Sports for saying a woman couldn't be a linesman?
Yeah.
2 decades ago, to then pop up with that opinion again is, in any other day and age, would have been well, that's the end of Joey Barton. But because of the beautiful landscape that is X now, this is the platform he needs to get bigger than ever. Yeah,
and he's doing his own podcast now, isn't he?
Of course he is. He was on Piers Morgan as well. He's following the pipeline. And you could guess what his next 3 topics that he's also discussed about are going to be. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw any of his analysis, Will.
I saw the one about the Liverpool game where he misquoted the woman.
Well, I heard the comments from the Liverpool Fulham game about, the Endo goal. The Japanese boy Endo scores. And the commentator was female, co-com's female, and she talks about Endo scores with his laces. Now, anyone who watched that, who had any knowledge of football, seen that Endo scored with the side of his foot. But no one, because it was female co-coms and female commentator, no one said, hang on a minute, that didn't happen. Then we have to correct those mistakes.
How many players do you see at that moment panic? Put their laces through it. Smash it over the bar, but no. Endo just strokes it into that top right-hand corner. What else has this game got left?
I saw the Everton game, where they won.
Oh, he did it again.
And he was just recording from the angle on his TV screen. And it was, I forget who the female I honestly, when it comes to commentators and pundits, this is my take on it, Will. When you're with a group of friends, you'll turn down the TV and talk amongst yourselves. When you're on your own, it's just little background noise, It really doesn't bother me. I don't really remember who it is, Yeah. But I forget who the woman was co-commentating. She was talking about the Corey was in 5 goals going for him. and he's critiquing this like from his phone, recording like from an angle on his on his TV, and saying, "This has ruined this now. That's wrong. That you've just ruined that moment for Evertonians." Like, has she ruined the moment of them scoring a goal by saying the Corey's in foul, like just like not giving enough analysis? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, if your team has won,
Yeah.
and unless the co-commentator saying that was a fluke, no, that shouldn't count. That was bollocks. You know, well, like what would it take for like if United were to winning 3-1? Well, what kind of commentary would it take to ruin that experience for you? Like,
Jamie Carragher would have to fart into the mic. Apart from that, it would take a lot. Like,
genuinely, yeah. Like, I mean, maybe he just has a higher kind of football brain than I have. These things annoy him more. But like, honestly, if you're just watching and your team has scored, again, if you're with your friends, you're talking to your friends. If not, if you're like intently listening to what the co-commentator is saying, is that accurate though? Is that really accurate? You've ruined that moment for me now.
Also, like, if you know if the pundit is wrong, then why do you care? You know the answer. Like, if you don't know if that's right and that's what they're telling you, then you have to just take it at face value and like, yeah, maybe that is the case, and maybe he is in good goal scoring form. But if you know it's wrong, then just be like, that's wrong. Move on. Why does it matter?
Yeah, I just don't see how it ruins the moment for you. You know, I really don't get that at all. But yeah, it's on women and tokenism and hashtag wokeism. Well, this is what he's railing against, and put women in sport. They haven't played the level, and you know, it's honestly, I don't know if he believes it or not. It feels like it's coming out of the blue. People are posting images of him with the hashtag HerGame2 campaign that she was involved in. So it feels kind of a bit fake. But I mean, that is, like I say, it's all X, the platform that is now X, formerly Twitter. Like, all those people in the replies posting that image or posting the images of him speaking in a French accent during Marseille. Like, the gotcha guys, is this you, pal? You know, thinking that they're doing something. It's like, what you're doing is like exactly what's engaging with him and boosting his tweets and making him more relevant because of it. And it's like, the first people I saw doing this, and this was before, when it was Twitter, before it was X, which I think is actually significant now, when you think of old Twitter versus X, is Trump used to do this. He used to just say these most insane things. Yeah. Usually like just outright lies, and people would twist themselves in agony in the replies. Like, this isn't true. This is bullshit. Like, did they ever get a response from Donald Trump? No. You know, but he was doing it like your man in Futurama, the captain, the space captain. What was his name?
Zap Brannigan.
Like, captain's log. You know, that's how Trump was doing it. He was just like sending out these. He wasn't like trying to look for discourse. You know, he was just like, this is what I think today, and putting it out, and then he would never read it again. He'd never look at the replies. He wasn't after money. That was just because that was his insane outlook on life, that he was like captain's logging to the world. But now you do that, and if you post a tweet at that, I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure Andrew Tate does that as well. I wouldn't say he gets into it in the replies, Will.
No, definitely not.
You know, he's not like backing up his arguments. And he was Joy Barton. He's putting out these tweets, putting up these videos. He's tagging like Laura Woods and all these people Alex Scott. Like, see,
why won't they debate me?
They're cowards. They're absolute cowards, won't debate me. You know, and it adds to the whole people who, and there's people who agree with them. There's people who are saying, yeah, they do belong in the kitchen. Like, the people who are like, think they're helping by like responding and calling them out. It's like, he's not reading it. He's not going to respond to you. He just wants you to respond to him.
Boost him, yeah.
Boost him. So like, he's playing this game very, like say, shrewdly, intentionally. It's kind of gross to watch how well it's working, you know.
It's funny as well because it literally at the exact same time, on a much grander scale, McGregor is doing the exact same thing in a bid to run for president of Ireland. But it's the exact same playbook of like, I'm going to say mad stuff, and all I need is like 10% of people to agree with me, and they will, and then the rest of them are going to be so mad that I'll be everywhere.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm not having to go with the mainstream media, and I get sucked into this whole thing. But I mean, no, we should be reporting on this. You know, like I guess we're talking about it.
We're not the mainstream. We're the underground.
We're underground media. You know, we're offshore somewhere. But it's just like I think Sarah says to me the other day, she read out this headline: Gen Z thinks being drunk is cringe. And I was like, when I was fucking a teenager, everything was cringe. Trying too hard was cringe. Remember that, Will? Remember trying too hard was gay?
Yeah.
Imagine people.
Things weren't cringe back in our day.
Like, if people reported what we thought we were teenagers, it's like, is trying gay? You know, like, that's the kind of stuff that people reported on. So they report on every thought that goes through people's head these days. I mean, so like McGregor tweets outrageous tweets. Barton tweets misogynistic rant. It's like, why are you telling me about this? Why are you boosting this yourself? You know what I mean? But it's just like everything seems like it needs reporting on. Everything's important. Like Joy Barton says something is not newsworthy.
No, and I was thinking about this the other day. How much better, directly better, would your life be if Twitter didn't exist anymore?
Yeah,
it would be a huge benefit to my life.
It is quite a. I mean, the word toxic has been used a lot over the years.
It is the ultimate in toxic,
in that you feel your brain kind of deteriorating as you're reading it. You know, as you're scrolling through.
It's not just that. It's like it's the doom scrolling, but then it's also seeing in real time like people getting radicalized, or just like you could see all this happening. You're like, no, I can't stop it.
Yeah, no, it is like watching from behind a bulletproof glass. Like you just can't get through it. You know, you're just watching the whole thing unfold. Like I mean, the riots that happened in Dublin. That Will, everybody got caught up in. He was in Dublin that day, and his bus stop and his loo stop were burned down.
Yeah, because of Twitter.
Twitter burned down your Lewis stop, Will. Think of that. Like this kind of thing. You're scrolling on X, watching this happen. Jeez, people are getting pretty riled up. And then you go outside and it's like, oh, there's multiple things on fire. You know, and like you just go about your day. Like, well, I guess I work from home for the rest of the week. You know, it's like we're all just like watching this going, oh, it's bad stuff, you know?
And then there's an added element to it. This is because I've always known this, that, you know, everyone on X, especially in football X, are like, they're actually children. Like, they're teenagers behind football profile. Like, and I don't even think they try to hide that. It's just, it never comes up. But I noticed after the GTA 6 trailer came up, a lot of the big football Twitter guys were tweeting like, wow, I was like 8 when GTA 5 came out, and now I'm going to be 18 when 6 comes out.
Yeah, there's rare moments where you think, oh, this is actually all teenagers here that are...
these are, I'm looking at the opinions of children.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's like, you know, people say, oh, geez, I couldn't be a teacher, like just being around kids all day. It's like, we're on X all day, you know?
You're not getting paid for this.
Yeah, and you're arguing with them, you know? You get radicalized by teenagers.
You're paying them.
Yeah. It is, honestly, it's the payment structure. It's the incentivized hate. Is really what's driving this whole thing.
I tell you though, when it first came in, people were like, "That'll never work." It's fucking worked for Musk, I tell you. That man's raking it in over X, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say the usership has gone up a lot, and we've seen before that sponsors don't really care what is being said on it, as long as they're seeing their. I guess that brand association doesn't really work. It's more kind of subliminal messaging that they're after, anyways. You know.
I think that's why he changed it to X, because then it's like, oh, Twitter is a cesspool. And people are like, no, it's X now. And then people are like, I don't know what's bad anymore.
That would be a very smart move if that's what he was. If it was like Twitter X,
muddied the waters,
you know, buy a Toyota. Just subliminally in your mind, I want to buy a Toyota really badly. I don't know why, but I think if I am going to buy a new car, it'll be a Toyota. Also, the immigrants, way too many of them. I don't know why, but I think there's just way too many of them.
That's an opinion that's popped into my head. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like I say, we are talking about it, I guess. But I think no matter what happens next, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Unless he attacks us, I guess.
But that would be amazing.
Well, that's the thing. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines here, which we very much are. But like, if we were to get drawn into this, behind the scenes, you'd be like, oh my God, it's happening, you know, we're going to make money off this, you know. If people
this is the boost we needed.
If people were to come after us, you know, but I mean, so it's like, if you're in it, if you're in the space at all, it's like you have to play the game as well. You have to like, okay,
Game's
well,
the game, man.
what's going to get us the most clicks here? You know, but
Yeah. I think it's worth bringing up though, because it's not the first football person to be just totally radicalized by Twitter, and I don't think it'll be the last either.
no, yeah,
Spot the warning signs when you see, I don't know, who's next.
yeah. I don't know. I just it's. I think if you have nothing, if you no value to offer, you have to play that game. You have to play the rage baiting and go misogynistic, go racist. I mean, has he talked about immigrants yet? I'm sure he probably will if he hasn't.
Oh, I think he did. There was one. I think he linked to like a questionable video of what the source is, something about immigrants, and all the comments were like, "There it is, there it is."
Yeah, I did see he had the David Brent defense for his misogynistic takes. It's like, how could I be a misogynistic? I have a mother or something like that. But speaking of negativity on X and its incentivized monetization, Will, have you seen these fail comps coming up?
I did. I saw one recently where they really made the most of the new unlimited video length system, where they had every mistake David De Gea has ever made in his career at Man United, and it was like 2.5 hours long.
I think that might be one of the catalysts for us. People saw that one.
Yeah,
that's because that got big news because people were like, I know you could put movies on X. I did see someone post the entire Oppenheimer movie as well on X as well. I was like, that's.
I watched Oppenheimer on my phone on X.
Like,
how it was meant to be viewed.
Yeah, exactly how Christopher Nolan advertised people watching it. But yeah, like whatever you can. That's and that was I guess a Man United fan who did that.
Who knows?
That failed. Not Oppenheimer. Will not having to go at Man United fans for Oppenheimer. I mean for the David De Gea leg of mistakes. Only a crazy Man United fan would do that. If you were, you'd have to be a really high level hater to make that long of a compilation of a player that was no longer even in football.
Roy Keane, maybe,
but again, I'm a United fan, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a lot of that now. I've seen Julian Alvarez was playing there for Man City in one of their recent losses. I think the one before Aston Villa, maybe it was Aston Villa. Anyways, he's playing kind of in the Kevin De Bruyne role and did have a great game. And so made a compilation, a fail comp of his touches and losing the ball. Like, this guy's good enough. Look at this shit. And then the City, it's all City fans as well. In the replies being like, in quotes, saying De Bruyne will struggle to get his place back. You know, in quotes, like this is your own player. You know, this is like this.
Who definitely sees this at some stage.
Yeah, well, you're aware that it's happening. You know, I've seen ones for Reece James coming on, and because the Reece James versus Trent Alexander-Arnold's debate, which I think I started, Will. I sparked that debate. He's injured again, and Chelsea aren't playing well. But I mean, you know, what can you do? But I've seen this. It's the newest thing. Sweeping X fail comps of your own players.
And famously, it used to be when you go to sign a player, you'd go on YouTube and you'd see "Welcome to Man United," fucking I don't know, Ribery or something, and then you'd see all of his highlights, which would just be like cherry picked touches and moments from a game, and occasionally you'd see a highlight video which is like every touch from a game. Now it's gone the opposite. It's like fuck off from Manchester City, Julian Alvarez. It's a compilation of the worst touches possible. And
again, only a either crazed fan would go with that much effort, or someone who's thinking I can make money off this.
Exactly.
If I give this kind of, it's like people are doing their own like homemade analysis of this like that. That's literally what they do on Match of the Day. You know, they do some compilation of the game of like touches or why he played badly, whatever, or why he played well. People are just doing that now, like in their own. They're getting there
free
for money.
Maybe not for free. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's all this kind of negative. And again, I think we know that the players are on social media.
Yeah,
like we saw, Richarlison saw the stuff that Wilson and
Antonio
were talking about on their podcast, and then we saw when Havertz scored that goal, all the Arsenal fans pushed him towards the crowd because he was getting so hammered on social media. So they're aware of this thing, but like I really don't know where it ends with this kind of negativity being awarded on X, because I mean it's just affecting literally every facet of people's lives now.
Yeah, it's like, I think you could definitely chalk up some players' poor form, or like when a player's in poor form and all of a sudden it's like, wow, he's really in poor form. It's been months now. I think so much of that comes down to like, you have a few bad games, then all of a sudden all of your fans of the club are calling for your head directly into your inbox.
Yeah, making failed comps and that kind of stuff. It's just it can't be good for anybody really, even for the people making them. It's like, this is not,
oh yeah.
I don't know, we will have a raft of video editors. The video editor market will be swamped in a few years. Like, all people have these skills, you know.
And you would think, we mentioned that how X at Twitter is mostly like teenagers, so you can kind of brush a lot of it away. It's like, they don't know any better. They're only kids, and it's kids talking to kids. But then every now and then you'll see something like last week where Mesut Ozil, the real Mesut Ozil, reshared a stat that Spurs were the first team to lose 5 games in a row that they were winning in each game.
Yeah,
and he said like something to the effect of like, ha ha ha, bottlers, was basically what he tweeted.
Yeah.
And it's tough to tell what's real and not, because obviously you see so many. They got rid of the verification system, so there's so many like Mesut Ozil with a 0 instead of an O and things. But then you look and it's like, oh no, 3 million followers. This one is real, even though it seems like,
it could
why would an adult man be doing this, knowing the effects this is going to have on the fan bases?
Yeah, it was just the way he tweeted. Obviously, English isn't his first language, but a lot of the tweets are, like say, from children, so they're not well worded. So when somebody it did look exactly like a tweet from one of those fan accounts, and it was just Bottlers FC, whoever it was, or who else would break this record? Bottlers FC. Yeah,
and then Jan Vertonghen again. The real Jan Vertonghen replied, being like, "No, it is you who are the bottlers." But it's like, lads, you are pushing 40, I would say.
Yeah, and both millionaires.
Yeah, and like Arsenal aren't talking about Mesut Ozil anymore. Fucking forget about it, man. It's old news. Why do you care about Spurs?
Wait for the Mesut Ozil and Jan Vertonghen podcast to drop next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is like, again, like, usually it's like, it was the whole idea of losers in their mom's basement with nothing to do. You know, it's like, all right, there's probably an element of that still, but I mean, when it's like Mesut Ozil and Vertonghen, it's like I said, 40-year-old millionaires. You know, why are they on X? Why are they getting dragged into this? You know, everyone's on it, so it's not about like where your status in life is or any of that kind of stuff. It's just kind of like, it's just like, if you see what happened on X, it's like, should I get on it? You know, and then you tweet these things, you get sucked into the hate. Yeah, unless of course they are dropping a podcast next week, which is the other alternative, which I think is the Joey Barton angle, where he's just kind of promoting himself, and he is relevant. Like, you had Alex Scott there talking about him on TV as well. I mean,
we're talking about him. When was the last time you talked about Joey Barton before this? Like,
well, I mean, obviously we're talking about him, but I mean, you know, we're not getting to anybody. I mean,
exactly.
Alex Scott was on ITV broadcast talking about women need to stand up and you're welcome in the game, and it's like, Jesus, like, he's actually got to them. Like, he's got to the to the system, and now, I mean, everyone, and they didn't say his name obviously, but everyone knows what everyone's referring to, you know. So it's a great way to promote yourself through hate, which honestly before, like, you wouldn't be rewarded. You could report that, they'd be blocked. You wouldn't get anywhere with that kind of stuff. But it's that's the currency today, folks. That's the money you want in your pocket. Hate.
Yeah, that's how you get ahead.
We mentioned the Premier League there, how tight is the top, and Tottenham Hotspur as well. They're back. They're bloody well back, Will.
Yeah. The back meter it's all the way to the right now.
It's off the charts,
It's off the charts. They're back, baby.
I saw at the start of the game, there's a still image, screenshot, if you will, of Spurs playing on the halfway line. And I was like, they're doing it again, folks.
I wonder how this ends up.
But Newcastle were very, very lethargic looking in that first half. Yeah. This was the injury derby, the two most injured squads in the Premier League. And I suppose their position reflects that from where they were at the start of the season versus where they are now. It's there's a lot of suspensions and injuries for Tottenham, and also for Newcastle as well. But Tottenham started the first half really well, and Newcastle were just nowhere to be seen.
Spurs just, I don't know, they just flew out of the blocks. Son is looking, I feel like he has these seasons now and again where you're just like, that's mad that, he's been at Spurs for so long and he's this good. And then he'll have a season where he's not as good. And then it comes back again. You forget about him every year, I think. Even like week to week, you forget how unreal he can be in a game.
Yeah, I think Son being Asian probably doesn't help his career prospects. Because it just, there's very few that have really gone on at big clubs and made it. I think if he was South American and he had those seasons that he was having at Spurs, people are like, he's too good for Spurs, get him out of there, But I think his kind of, not pardon the pun, but his sunny disposition as well. He's like smiley, happy. He's like, is he a killer? Whereas if he was like a mean mugged Brazilian, you'd be like, oh, this guy's an absolute baller. It's just this kind of perception. And like, you might say, well, that's just, whatever, like the fans. But like, you see like clubs buying players in the back of World Cups. It's like, that old research you did, a cup competition.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So like, I think these kind of things matter. But I mean, there's no denying how good a player is. He's unbelievable. And there was a bit of kind of thing when Kane left, like who's going to replace him? I don't think anybody kind of foresaw Son step into this role and being like the main goal scorer and scoring this many goals. So yeah, and provide assist, really filled in the Kane role. He scored a penalty actually at the weekend as well in that game. That was the first penalty taken by Spurs player that wasn't Harry Kane since. Can you guess?
Oh, I have no idea.
It was Dele Alli.
Wow. That seems like a lifetime ago.
So that was how reliant they were on Kane for goals. Like every penalty, they got all the penalties, scored all the goals in play. So for Son then to step up, haven't taken one, because he's been at Spurs that entire time, hasn't taken a penalty in that entire time. And it's just like, again, it wasn't even like, I might have to take one. It's like, Kane's there, he'll take it. Like, he's not going to like not take it. Send to step up and score, and a really good penalty too.
Yeah.
It just shows the quality of the player.
And like you mentioned, Richarlison scored. He scored 2 in that game. And of all the games to come back and start scoring, that was a special one, which was shown at the end of the game when it felt like all the Spurs players had also, just like we had heard what Wilson and Antonio had been saying for like a few weeks at the start of the season about Richarlison, how he's a big loser, dork.
Because Son was pushing that time. Do you remember he pushed like, so that was ages ago. It was like, oh look, he's back. Everybody, he hasn't scored since, and now he's back. That was his first goal he scored for Spurs with his foot.
That's mad.
another good stat there from Pierre Drury.
He's good at them, isn't he? How does he think to look that up?
I think he covers all his bases. He's a pro,
At the end of the game, the Spurs keeper, what's his name? Vicario, is that it?
Vicario, yeah.
He caught a ball, and Wilson was running in at the same time, and he caught it, and he really like cartoonishly laughed in Wilson's face, as in, ha ha ha, you're losing 4-1.
Yeah.
And Wilson didn't like it. There was a bit of a shoving match in this. And Wilson was interviewed after the game, and he had this to say.
There's a way to win, isn't there? I think we've seen it in the week when Everton were winning and Pickford was messing around. The goalkeeper had a header, he starts pulling faces and messing around, and this is a lack of respect, I thought. But I said my piece. We're grown men. When we move on.
Thanks for answering that.
You've heard the clips, we've played them, of him talking about Richarlison's teammate. So for Wilson now to be like, come on, game is all about respect, we're all friends here at the end of the day. Fuck off, man. Go fuck yourself.
You got to give respect to get respect,
Exactly, yeah.
It's
done.
It's a two-way street there. He's again, as someone who's struggled himself through his career, through injury and all the rest of it, to go on a podcast and go, he's finished, they need a new striker. And like,
it's just a bit of banter.
Yeah, just a bit of banter to make money. That's all.
Yeah. And then, like we said, it wasn't just a case of they made a few funny jokes about Richarlison. Richarlison got on with it. Richarlison, there was pictures of him in tears at the international break a few months ago. He took a mental health break because it was all too much for him to deal with. All of it, everything that was going on. And you have to think that was one of the aspects that was not helping.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's I think fairly obvious. It's one rule for Wilson, one rule for everyone else, I don't know. I don't feel sorry for him at all, to be honest. But yeah, I suppose Newcastle, after my early prediction that they would win the whole thing, this year, I guess they're not that good. And they don't have as deep a squad as I thought as well.
And here's a question. With the money they've spent and like the project and everything, how low are Newcastle allowed to go on the table before Eddie Howe's in trouble?
Oh, well, where are they now?
Because they're currently in 7th.
Okay.
Joint 8 with Brighton, or joint 7th, whatever you want to say.
I don't know. I think if they were to fall below top half, well, that's not good enough.
Yeah, they're currently 5 points away from that.
Well, how far away are they from top 4?
They are 7 points away from top 4. So closer to 10th than 4th.
Close to 10th and 4th, but again, I think we're just ticking up to halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Still a lot of football to be played. They're still, in theory, in the Champions League.
They're giving it a good go, if nothing else.
They're giving it a good go. If they make it to the last... I mean, listen, I think this year, if you were saying Newcastle fans, you will get to the last 16 of the Champions League and you'll get top 4 again. I think they'll say that's very good. That's very, very good. So that is still a possibility. They could still get top 4. Obviously, there's a lot of teams ahead of them playing well, which is the crucial part. You know, the top 4 all playing well, and Spurs as well, who just hammered them without some of their players as well. It wasn't even a full strength Spurs team. So I don't know. I felt like the whole Newcastle run at the start was on like emotion and this kind of the high and beautiful wave of we're going to take over the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
You lose a few players. The Tonali thing, I don't know what effect that had on them. He was obviously a big loss just in terms of him being a good player, but is he like banned for a set amount of time? Is he only back next year, or I forget?
It was a big chunk of months. It was like 7 months or 8 months, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's just kind of slowed down a bit. They've lost a bit of momentum with all that happening. But I think that would be what they would think is a good season if they got Europa League still. Because don't forget, like obviously they have the investment and they're the richest club in the world or whatever. But if they were to get Europa League still, it's not that they were doing that every year. You know?
No, yeah, it's still an improvement.
So if you get out of the group into the knockout stages, have a magical Champions League night. Don't get hammered in that game now. Don't go hammered like 8-0 over 2 legs. That's crucial.
Yeah.
But even if you were to lose that by a goal or two and have moments in it or whatever and put up a good showing, you know, another magical Champions League night at St. James's Park, I think would do a lot for the fans. And then you got to Champions League obviously would be ideal, but even got to Europa League, I think Eddie Howe is safe in the job. If they were to go out with Champions League and fall bottom half below Chelsea or something like that, I think they would say, okay, this guy doesn't have it. He can't do it anymore. You know, we need someone else to take us to the next level, that kind of thing.
Because you are thinking, well, I'm sure Newcastle are thinking, like, they haven't really ramped up the spending yet. Because I'm sure there's FFP things. But when you do ramp up the spending, you want to make sure you have the right guy in place before you're like, here's 400 million.
Yeah.
Like, you want to make sure all the boxes are ticked and like, okay, good to go. All systems go now.
Yeah, I think so. So I think to get the right guy in place, you need to show that you can compete regularly in Champions League as well. You know, so I don't know. It's I think he's safe at the moment. It was a bad loss for them, but I think most of the fans will point to the injuries that they have. So I think he's probably safe at the moment. But yeah, it's just another one of my predictions falling flat in his face again.
It's a mad season though, because it feels like everyone is dropping points left and right. Like, it's a very entertaining season. But because of that, when your team does lose, for example, 3-0 to Bournemouth or something like that, you are like, yeah, but it's not as like crushing as it would have been over the last few years, where it's like, oh, there's another 3 points away from City. There's another 3 points. It's not like that this year, where you're still in the mix. Everyone's losing.
Yeah, like Liverpool are obviously top, but they haven't been as good as Liverpool size in the last 5 or 6 years. Not that kind of irresistible force. So like, there's no stopping this team. You know, it's like there's definitely weaknesses in the team. They're very good, and there's some really good players there. And Salah's having another great season. But you wouldn't be like they're unbeatable. And City are definitely beatable, especially that Rodri. Seemingly, he's
yes, he is the glue. Him and De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time in a long time that you look at City's team And like say, okay, whatever, last year, if you didn't have Rodri playing or De Bruyne playing, you would have brought on Gundogan. You know, now it's Kovacic. So it is just a step down. So like that was the whole strength of City. Like they had this before, but then their bench players coming in would be Mahrez and Gundogan and Raheem Sterling. You know, I was like, okay, well, that's pretty good. That's that's fine. You know, they can manage with that for the next 3 games. You know, but this year is just not as strong. So
I did see a great stat, surprising one. You know, you were mentioning there, Liverpool. You know, they're top, but they're not as at it as they have been. They've had a good few last minute winners this season and last season as well was the same.
Yeah,
they've now got more last minute winners under Jurgen Klopp than Man United did under Alex Ferguson.
Wow.
Yeah, more extra time winners. Isn't that insane?
Oh, extra time in the 90
extra time,
plus.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Which makes sense this season because obviously there's more extra time, but just the longevity of Klopp versus Ferguson, they've been doing this it's like every second week they get one.
Yeah, no, he is an excellent manager. Because I saw a tweet there, it was a screenshot of City playing, it was Chelsea playing Liverpool in January. It was 0-0, and I think after the game, Klopp saying, we need to rebuild. We're just in transition, and he wanted Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo. And I think at that time, Liverpool were 9th and Chelsea were 10th in the league. You know, it was like, we need to rebuild this team kind of thing. Chelsea got all those players, and now Liverpool are top, and Chelsea are 12th.
Yeah.
You know, and like, that's the thing, and wherever they signed, Endo was like a last minute replacement, like their 4th choice defensive midfielder, I guess. Szoboszlai, who's been excellent, but I don't think many people knew about beforehand. And then Alexis McAllister, who again, he was good in the Premier League. You'd say he's a good midfielder, but he plays for Brighton. It kind of goes one or two ways. It can be good afterwards or not great, but I mean, he had a great World Cup as well, so that add to it. But like, you know, in terms of like, that's not who he was looking at in January, you know?
Yeah.
But he got 3 different players and they're top of the league. So he is a fantastic manager. But did you see that clip of him being a bit weird?
You've had some injury problems. You've got all these games. You're still going strong in Europe, in the League Cup, in the FA Cup. You're going to Crystal Palace, your favourite kick-off time at the weekend. But, I mean, that's the price of success.
That's really brave to make a joke about that, really. It is constant, yeah. Now we go home, I don't know exactly when we arrive, what is now? It's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., whatever. Yeah, and then we play, again, we have do we have 2 sessions tomorrow and Friday? Yeah, we have 2 sessions. So it's fine to recover, and then we go again. So Crystal Palace play tonight as well, so that's absolutely fine. It's just not... But I realize you don't understand it as well, even when you work in football, so why should I try to explain again? It's good. It's obviously, football is entertainment, and I understand. It's all good.
It's just one of those issues that come up, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all.
You were already.
Okay. Well, Jürgen, I
apologize. Good. You can say what you want. Just I cannot say what I want, because that would be really different.
Well, listen, it's been a success tonight. You've moved within 2 points of the league, and we wish you every success at Crystal Palace at the weekend as well.
Yeah, and we will tell that to Crystal Palace as well. Thank you very much.
You have offended me.
Yeah. How dare you ask that question?
It was, well, he made a joke. It was like, oh, your favourite kickoff time, 12:30, you know?
Yeah,
and
don't you dare.
The guy's like, oh, yeah, funny stuff. Funny guy. It's like, oh, fuck. And then, like, the funniest thing when he goes, look, I didn't mean to offend you there. Well, you have. Right? Okay, well, I guess that kind of puts a damper on the rest of my point, because you just... Like, he just was not that aware with it, you know. And then it was like, you had people who worked in football, like you, who don't know what they're talking about. I was like, oh, God, let this man over. Shakes hands. Obviously, you can't hear, when you play the clip, you can't hear, but he shakes hands with 2 other pundits who are just like sitting there, not interjecting, like, oh, I'm glad I'm not you right now, you know. Don't say a word.
He is angry.
Don't say words with this interchange. He shakes both their hands, puts the mic down, and walks right past the presenter. It's like, wow. But to be fair, the only thing is, like, it might say that's a bit, you know, bit much, like, you know, he's just a presenter doing his job. But like, in Klopp's mind, this is the mainstream media, you know.
Yeah, they're all out to, now they're mocking me.
Well, it's just like his complaint of the 12:30 kickoffs after European games, and people being like, yeah, get over it. It's like they don't care, they don't understand. And now it's just like, it's Oh, half-club kickoffs, Klopp. It's like, this is a serious issue. It's like, oh.
Yeah. I'm not bringing it up for fun.
Yeah. So if somebody makes a passing joke like that, it's like, don't joke about that. Like, this is an ongoing thing that I'm annoyed about. You know, and nobody takes me seriously, and I'm making a joke about it. So I can see where he's getting mad about it. Like,
yeah,
fair play to Klopp. He's on course to win it all again, Will. Unless Aston Villa has something to say about it.
Yeah, I can't see. It doesn't feel like Liverpool's year, whatever that means.
No, I mean, I other years has felt more like it than this. But yeah, it's so up in the air. I'll say Aston Villa. Word on Aston Villa. They're playing well all year. You know, they've got wins and they've been playing well. And Ollie Watkins has been making his case for England. But the whole time you watch him, you're like, yeah.
There's always an Aston Villa.
Yeah. We get it. You're playing well. We'll see how long that lasts. And now we're in December and they're third and they're like, oh, fuck. They beat City and Arsenal back to back. Wait a minute.
Yeah, those are two good teams.
Like, because at the start of the season, like first 6 or 7 games ever, you can have easy games, you know, but the tough games will all come at once. They have come at once and they've beaten them.
Yeah.
And I think
they played City off the pitch.
Oh, absolutely destroyed them, you know. And so, I mean, there's a scenario here, Will, where Aston Villa are top of Christmas.
That is mad.
The maddest thing is that they were relegation candidates under Steven Gerrard.
Yes. Who we thought at the time, this guy is no good as a manager. And as time goes on, it seems more and more correct that, yeah, he was not really cut out for a Premier League job just yet.
Yeah, it did remind me a lot of Roy Keane when he was manager. Like, yeah. Didn't he sign a very late career Dwight York to Sunderland?
That sounds familiar, yeah.
He signed Liam Miller. Like, his only connections were ex-Man United players.
Yeah.
You know, he seemed to rub people up the wrong way throughout his career and had no connections throughout the game.
Yeah.
And Steven Gerrard similarly, like, signed Coutinho, like, get the band back together. I was talking to signing Suarez again as well. I was like,
dying
come
to get
on,
Suarez in,
dude. Like, I mean, is there no scouting system that at Aston Villa that you can call upon here? What's going on? Why you signed the 13-14 Liverpool team? Like, that's not going to work, you know.
And then Gerrard spent a lot of his time playing mind games with his own players. The whole Mings thing is like he has to say sorry to me to my eyes and all this. Have you heard Emery once talking about anything to do with that?
Yeah, the personal kind of battles and kind of willy waving, like it really doesn't get you anywhere in a dressing room.
It's just like a distraction, yeah.
Unless you're winning, like, and then you're just going to make an example of someone. But like, you have to have like total trust from everyone else to go singling players out and making a show of them because people are like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then again, obviously it's Steven Gerrard as a player, but like as a manager, and you're losing, and you think the train is shite. You're thinking like, I don't care what you want. Like, you don't know. This is terrible. Like, we're not winning games. This isn't enjoyable. When you talk about this stuff, I don't think you know what you're saying. You know, like, because you can be a great player and you can recognize someone as a great player, but when they try to communicate stuff or what they want you to do, I'm thinking, that doesn't make sense to me. You're not explaining this very well. You know, so then when you go out and you like Tyrone Mings, you say, apologize for my face in public, like, what is this lad doing? Like, you know,
he's our captain.
You know, so it's amazing where they were to where they are now. And again, I think John McGinn was talking about this, that this is all alien to us. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. He said he'd actually had marked out some players in the squad that he thought they'll get ahead of themselves. I better watch them.
You don't want to be on that list.
On John McGinn's list of players who are going to lose this. But he said,
list of bottlers.
List of bottlers. John McGinn's list of bottlers. And he said, but thankfully, to my surprise, they haven't got ahead of themselves. We're all kind of taking game by game. But I wouldn't say the list has been ripped up, Will. I think they're probably still on the list. Yeah.
He's put it away, but he still has it.
Yeah, that is the kind of, again, it doesn't sound like John McGinn would be a very good manager, but as a player, exactly the guy you want, you know?
Just so everyone knows, I've pinned a list to the wall of people who I think are going to freak out soon.
We'll open it end of the season just to show that I was right. Let's get real though, Will. Brass tacks time.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see this Aston Villa team finishing this year?
I see them finishing 5th.
5th? They're going to miss out top 4 as well.
Yeah, but I don't think through any of their own fault. I just think come January, like City will buy 2 unbelievable players. Liverpool will get someone in. Arsenal surely will get. Like, I just think all of those, the teams who feel like this is, especially with City not being at it, this is the year we could probably win something. They'll spend big. I don't think Villa will be able to match them with the players they can get in.
Okay, so that's putting them in fourth. Who's taking them over from there? Spurs?
Ooh, that is...
You said they're out, Will. You said
I do
they're
think
out.
they're fifth, but I don't know. Let me look at the
You said
table.
Man United will.
No,
I
Man
will.
United, no way. Not a chance.
I'll hang up the call. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
No. Those days are gone. See, I can see Newcastle coming back, to be honest. Because
Oh, wow. What a turn up for the books. Newcastle snatched top 4 from plucky Aston Villa.
Because I think, again, Newcastle will probably get someone in to replace Tonali, you would have to think.
Yeah.
And then also, like we said, they could get out of their group. I don't see them going much further in the Champions League. And then you're freed up. You're good to go. You can really have a go at going for fourth again. And anyway, this year, it's up to fifth. So Villa will still get Champions League.
That's true. Does that require the English teams to all get out of the group or something?
I think it's based on last year's coefficient.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why it's fifth, because it's like it's already established. I think, anyway, I could be wrong.
That makes it a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
I guess, isn't it? I see what you're saying. Like, when you say it, it does make sense. Team that's like, whoa, the 3 top of the title ends up fifth. It's like, well, that's just the brutality of professional sports. That's always how it goes.
We say it every year. There's always a Brighton, there's always a Villa, there's always a Leicester, a West Ham. These teams give it a really good go, but they just, through no fault of their own, they just can't keep up with the having 2 squads that the other teams have.
Except that time when Leicester actually won the whole thing. Well,
that's true, but that was what would you call it? A catalogue of catastrophes from the other teams.
Yeah. No, every else was pretty bad that year, except for Tottenham, who were good, but they kind of blew it in the end. Battle the bridge and all that. We don't have to go over that old ground again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think who's in contention for it? Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Despite what Mesut Ozil would say, maybe they're the Botters FC.
Maybe.
I look over the results recently, and they have draws and losses to weaker teams. That's the only thing that I would say.
I think Arsenal feel worse than they were last year, especially at this stage. Last year they were flying it every week, but I don't know. This year there's more issues. Again, it's been talked to death, but the goalkeeper thing and all that.
That's a weird one that they continue with.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think Arsenal are going well. Liverpool are going well. The biggest thing for Aston Villa is it's if you lose Ollie Watkins, if you lose Douglas Luiz, and again we've seen with City, if you lose best players, you'll drop points, like you just will. There isn't a replacement for your best players, but it's the Conference League that they're also in, which is a killer. Europa League, we've seen it so many times over the years. It destroys team squads. Because you just get injuries. It's the hours between games just isn't considered for smaller teams, because what does Aston Villa have to play for? That's what they're looking at when they're making these fixtures. But yeah, I don't know. I think if the romantic in me says that they win the whole thing, I think that'd be great.
It would be amazing. It would be what the sport needs.
Yeah, and I tell you, for the next year, you'd never hear anybody saying Aston Villa are a big club. Because they'd be talking about the league they just won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be confirmed.
It'd be confirmed that I don't care how big your club is, we won the league. That's what it would come down to. But yeah, I think realistically, as well, I'd forgotten about that when you said the fifth gets Champions League. I think if they were to get Champions League, like, that's unbelievable. So if even to slip to fifth, we'll still have Champions League, so we're not going to lose it. It's not the end of the world. But I'm going to say I'll put them fourth. I'd say they'll finish fourth, which is only one place lower than they are now. So I'm not saying it's like a catastrophe at the end. I'm saying that when De Bruyne and Roger come back, they'll go on a run. And I think Newcastle might make a run for it as well, but I think Aston Villa are good enough to hang on.
Yeah. There is another element as well that happens in January. A lot of people kind of gloss over the African Cup of Nations, which pulls players from everywhere. It will, I think, affect especially the race for the title, because some teams at the top of the table are losing big players. Arsenal will be losing Partey and El Neni, Aston Villa will just be losing Bertrand Traore.
Okay.
So doable. Chelsea will be losing Nicholas Jackson. Liverpool, of course, will be losing Mo Salah, which will be big because he is pretty much the only one scoring at the moment.
That's the biggest one so far, for sure.
Man City will be losing nobody. That's huge. Man United will be losing Onana and Amrabat and Hannibal Mejri. Losing Onana could be an issue.
It could be an issue, yeah.
Newcastle losing none.
Mm.
And Tottenham will be losing Bissouma and Sarr. So some teams will have a clear run of it in January where they have their full teams while Liverpool are missing Salah.
Yeah, Liverpool and Tottenham are the big losers in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Aston Villa are fine then, I think. I think they'll be all right, Will.
Then they get to February. Once it's February, all bets are off.
Yeah. No, like I say, we're putting 10 on Aston Villa. Why not? Yeah, what else do we have? I saw actually on the Gary Neville podcast, Will, or one of the Gary Neville podcasts, they were talking. It's funny because like it's just ex-pros and they do like the most basic questions, like who's your toughest opponent? It's like
yeah.
Fuck me. I was like, I think Ian Wright asked Roy Keane and Gary Neville, which is like, okay, that's not fair, but he asked them who was like the biggest maverick he played with or something like that. And of course they said Eric Cantona was one, and Ian Wright was like, what was the story with him? Like just walking away, like bang, like just out of nowhere retired. Like, was we expecting that or whatever? And he was like, I know we weren't expecting it, but you knew it wasn't surprising. Like you knew that was in his locker to do something like that. And then Neville was like, I think he was obsessed with Europe or winning Champions League, and it was after the Dortmund game in 97 that he was really upset about that. I think Keane comes out with this really insightful nugget where he said, there's something going on in the background with his contract as well. Which I'd never heard that story.
I've never heard that either.
Never heard that report. It's like, oh yeah, no, there was definitely something going on with his contract at the time as well. He was looking for that as well. And then, of course, it's like not that deep of a podcast. So, goes, geez, I wouldn't have thought that Man United wouldn't be offering Eric Cantona a contract. Roy Keane goes, oh, don't get me started on contracts. Obviously the whole thing. And everyone laughs. It's a classic Roy Keane zinger, and everyone moves on. It's like, whoa, hang on.
What the hell was that about?
Was Eric Cantona forced out of Man United by Alex Ferguson in 1997? Ready to retire from the game? They can't just throw it out there. What are the it's an agreed upon story. He was a crazy maverick. He just retired at the top. It's like, oh.
Richarlison's celebrations.
Wow.
Yes. 3 of the times he's been offside. He has taken his top off 4 times this season.
He's got 4 yellows. He's almost on a suspension.
He said, no. When we play against them, I'm not going to shake his hands.
Nah, don't lie. So that means he's not going to shake my hand.
He's not going to shake my hand. And I'm like, it's bad. I'm not going to speak about the person who's in the position right now. I'm just going to say Tottenham needs to sign a striker. I'll leave it at that.
That speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah.
He who can't be named.